So Ari Lennox is wanting out of her label, and I think that she absolutely should get let out of her label because that label, Dreamville, is it's not a real label, sweetie. We gotta get you out. Hello, you guys. Welcome or welcome back to the Cake Radio Show. I'm the CakeDive and hope y'all are doing well because today we'll be talking about Ari Lennox and Dreamville and the news that's been going on around that. So, for those who don't know, yesterday, as of recording, October 30th, Ari Lennox did a video on her Instagram. Basically, well, actually, let me circle back and set the stage. For those who don't know, Ari Lennox is an R&B singer. She is known for, her album, her projects like Shea Butter Baby, um, ASL. Like she is known for good handful of songs and major projects that have had like some pretty successful hits. And she a month or so ago announced that she was going to be doing like a social media break. She felt like social media was really draining to her. She felt like as if she really had to like push herself to be on social media, and it has not been healthy for her mental health. Which when I saw the announcement, I'm like, hey, I completely get it. Like social media can be draining, especially now because of the fact that social media is now kind of a big part of our lives, especially artists, the lives of artists, because like you kind of have to be on to interact with fans, to build a fan base, to retain a fan base, and also to promote your work. And she also, was doing her big one, stuff like that every now and then. But yesterday, she posted a video and an Instagram story basically talking about how she wants out of her contract with Dreamville, which, for those who don't know, Dreamville is J. Cole's record label, which is currently distributed under it's a label under a label. It is under Interscope Records, which is a unit of Universal Music Group. And the lineup for Dreamville, it includes J. Cole, Omen, Baz, Kaz, Lou Jid or JID, Earth Gang, and Ari Lennox. And in the video that Ari was posting on Instagram, she talked about how Dreamville hasn't really been pushing her music. They haven't been wanting to do any like social media or like internet promo. They said that they don't believe in that stuff, and she feels as if the content not the content she feels as if her like music isn't really reaching the heights that she wants it to be, and she is really upset about that, and she really goes into it in detail. I would love to do a deep dive on it, but we just I don't have the time for that. I feel like I would be doing a disservice to her. I recommend you guys just go watch the video. I'll link it in the description below if you're watching on YouTube and even on podcast platforms as well. And it was just very heartbreaking to just see someone like have to come forward and be honest, like, hey, like my record label sucks. And on the other hand, it's also just like this is like a silent reality for a lot of artists. A lot of artists are going through things like this with their record labels, in which they aren't getting the push that they need. And we're also seeing the rise of like independent artists and stuff like that. Like you have, or like independent artists who are directly having distribution deals with different labels and stuff like that, and having a little bit more control over themselves, but also having a lot more cost and overhead. So that's the situation that's at hand right here. Ari wants out, and I feel like we should let her. I feel like they should let her out of the contract. I don't know how long the contract is. We don't know the full terms of this contract. The but the thing is, like, Ari has been with um Dreamville for a fairly long time. She kind of appeared on a few of the Dreamville the other Dreamville artists like projects, um, and then was signed on. We we don't know the full terms of the deal. Side note for those listening to this video, Ari did remove the post talking about, her wanting out of the label, which makes sense because that is very deep stuff that should be handled like privately. But because of social media, people most definitely got, screen recordings and stuff like that. So if I find any that I can share with you that hasn't been pulled, I'll try to link it in the YouTube video. If not, definitely find it at your own risk type things. But back to what I was talking about. We don't know the full terms and the extent of Ari's deal. And again, Ari has been with Dreamville for a hot minute. But it's very evident that like they have not pushed her the way that she could be. Because Ari has been making music for a minute, and she's been with Dreamville for a minute. And she has done, don't get me wrong, she's done some pretty big things with, being in the music game. She's had her performances, her fair share of performances. She's had a lot of acclaim for her projects, especially Shea Butter Baby and ASL. She has had like appearances on stuff like the Creed 3 soundtrack. Like Dreamville produced that soundtrack, but she hopped on it and had she has some bangers. Like I will say, like she has some hits in her catalog. But the other thing is that like she is not, and this is someone who's like listened and also paid attention to Ari Lennox as well. She's not at the heights where like she should be as someone who's been in the game with like her this long, especially with the amount of talent that she has. Like I feel like realistically she should be one of the like R&B, like the modern R&B darlings um in like this space. And she should be having like Grammys and like awards at the wazoo and a lot of like brand deals and stuff like that, because it's very evident that like that is something that she has been missing out on because of Dreamville and also just because of her management team. But on the other hand, she hasn't had it. Like newer artists, like not to try to make this a competition thing, but like other artists who have been in the game for less time have been like they've been able to do things faster and with a lot more push because their labels and their management teams are pushing them compared to what Ari has been doing, or like what Dreamville has been doing for Ari. And the other thing that I feel like a lot of people who are like already hopping on and doing videos and podcast episodes and like essays on this situation have forgot to mention is the fact that the big catalyst of this, what led to Ari just like hopping out here and saying like, hey, like I don't want to be on my label anymore. Ari Lennox dropped a new song, Smoke. She dropped that last week. Did you know that she dropped it? I knew she dropped it, but the public, the people didn't know that she dropped it. And people who have been listening to the song like are liking the song. It's been a big gap since she released her previous single, which was what's the song? Get Close. Get Close. That's the song. The last single was Get Close, and it's been a good bit between singles since she released that. And it's not like a Normani situation in which like she's at least giving us like something, like some sort of announcement that we're getting something next or something like that, like it was like, oh, like here's a single, radio silence from like she'll promote the single on her end and me on social media on her end, and now she's kind of pulling back because she wants the social media break. But it seems to be the cycle of like, oh, like she promotes it, no, like radio silence from the label and everybody else, and then there's just like a months long break from like us hearing from Ari pretty much whatsoever, at least in the public, and then she comes back with like a new single or like something else, and that's really not what she should be having to go through, especially because of the fact that like with Get Close and Smoke, this is very evident that these are supposed to be like the lead singles for her next album or her next project, whatever it's gonna be. And there's just so much going on here. Like we don't know if like the project's gonna be on hold or if the project's gonna be scrapped because of like what could happen with like her in Dreamville. We don't know what's going to go on, and we just gotta kind of wait and see because of the situation. But I really, again, I really empathize with Ari here. I really think that she should like get out the label because again, Dreamville is not a real label. Like it is a label, it's under a label, it's under a label, and yes, it is helmed by J. Cole, who is treated by a lot of people as like this really big rapper. But a lot of the people who have been signed into Dreamville have not made, like I feel like they're still like very underground rappers and stuff and like artists and stuff like that. And I remember I said rappers first and then I said artist because of the fact that like Ari Lennox is one of the few, if not the only, like singer that's in the Dreamville lineup right now. Like everybody else is like a rapper, if I'm remembering correctly. So it is very odd to me that it's just like, oh, she's there. And it's not to say that there's not like something that can't be done. Like it's nothing against having singers on a label that is mostly rappers because it has been done. Look at Top Dog Entertainment, TDE, has a bunch of rappers on there and a lot of big rappers, but you also have someone like SZA who has really been, you know, someone who's been able to establish herself as one of the biggest R&B stars and one of the biggest like stars in, you know, the game right now. And it isn't a matter of the label because trust me, like there has been label sabotage and issues that she's been having, like Punch and stuff like that, and rolling out SOS and like her and like the next big things for the longest time. And even after releasing SOS, she's still kind of having to experience some of those issues. She still also has really great management to back her up. And now, because SOS has proven its success and its longevity for SZA, compared to like Control when she first came onto the scene, the label is also preparing to start like backing her. And even well, I don't know. I don't know if I can confidently say RCA is backing her like that, but she has people on her side that are backing her up and supporting her and making and letting her do the things that she wants to do. And then there's also the fans who are meeting her up as well and saying, "Oh, like we want you to do things that you want to do. Like we here for this new music still. Like we ready, we ready." And other artists, even like newer artists and stuff like that, even like people like Chloe and Halle who people question like their like solo music and stuff like that, they still have fairly, and even though I've done episodes talking about like their label Columbia having some like weird, like them treating them weird, it's been the label Columbia directly, but their management team at Parkwood has generally been doing a good job getting them to do performances and getting them in a lot of rooms that, you know, some people, the way that people react to Chloe and Halle's solo music, a lot of people would say that they shouldn't be in those rooms, or that like, or they should question why they're in those rooms. But again, they have really great management, and again, they have talent. And because management sees their talent, they're willing to like work their elbows in to make them get to the spaces where they should be, and then work on getting the music to meet that. Now, this is not going to be too much of a Chloe and Halle side tangent because I do think their solo music's good, but I'm not about to wake that conversation back up. And because this is about Ari here, I do think that Ari both is in a bad spot because one, she does not have a management team that is there to back her up, and her label is like non-existent. Like her label is two steps away from being in the same category as like Young Money and what's that? What's the label that signs the City Girl that used to have the City Girls before the City Girls like broke up? Um, not the what's oh my god, what's the label called? Quality Control. It's not even a label, but Quality Control. They're two steps away from being Quality Control, in which it's like, oh, there's this quote unquote label, but the person at the top who's running the label don't care about running the label for real, and all the artists are just kind of like, well, shit, what the hell do we do now? Like, J. Cole is kind of in that space because, like, while J. Cole has again been able to use his clout and use his celebrity to get a lot of these other the artists that he signed under Dreamville into certain spaces, he is not pushing them in the way him and his teams are not pushing them in the ways that they should for their careers. And I think that they're trying to approach it in a very similar way that like he approaches his career, in which it's like, oh, like he doesn't have to do promo because like if he does, like him not doing promo comes off as him being a little bit more like down to earth type vibes, because that's the weird thing that he's trying to like come off as. um but on the other hand, it's like if you did do some promotion, if you did do some promo, maybe more people would tap in. Like people do tap in, but maybe more people would tap in. But on the other hand, maybe that would make situations like that 10-minute drill situation be a little bit more tricky to navigate, wouldn't it, J. Cole? But that's my thoughts on that. I hope Ari Lennox can find a. I've seen a lot of people talk about like her, you know, like them asking other labels to pick her up. I feel like she should find a management team first that would really help her out and, you know, work out like, oh, like this is what I want to do and stuff like that. Like if she can stay with Dreamville, sure. And if they can like bring a management team in to assist her to actually like help her out, that would be a smart business move on their part. But knowing them, that probably won't happen. So I'm hoping that best case scenario, Ari Lennox, you know, steps out and either goes independent completely and finds a new management label, and you know, with that, figures out how to like push herself, or push comes to shove, find a label that like really cares about her and is willing to really put the money down to like push her, because she should be in a lot of these spaces that some of these other girls are in, and should be collaborating with these other girls. Like that's the other thing. She hasn't really, like I feel like she collaborates with some of the girls, especially on stuff like ASL. Like she's collaborated with Summer Walker and like Chloe and a few of the other girls as well. But like the fact that it feels very few and far between is like very odd to me. But I wish her nothing but the best. Nothing but love over here for you, Ari. Y'all stream Smoke because I actually like the track. Y'all also smoke. Y'all also stream Get Close, because that's actually Get Close is one of my favorite songs from Ari. Like hands down, I can't even hold you. But that's my thoughts about Ari Lennox in this Dreamville situation. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode of the Cake Radio Show. If you did, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Would love to hear your thoughts and have a conversation with you guys. And be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel where you get episodes of the Cake Radio Show and a whole lot more before anybody else. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platforms, love y'all so much. Be sure to follow, turn on your notifications, and give the show a rating because it helps. I will talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.